Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. Our apologies, we're coming in a few minutes behind schedule. We had something of a logistic production challenge, if you get my meaning. You all will be clear in a moment. Our intended subject today really is to, get a progress report on the Lagos transportation situation. For instance, we're expecting the Honorable Commissioner for Information, the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation. He'll be with us in a moment, Dr. Dayo Mobirela, and we wanted to ask him about the proposed new taxi scheme in Lagos and other related subjects. Indeed, that is where we shall be. And while we're waiting for Dr. Mobirela to arrive, just to report on the budget padding scenario that, I don't know, the way the thing is going, Speaker Dogara, according to one newspaper, has shunned the police investigation. As you know, this is a matter being investigated. The Appropriation Committee office in the House of Reps is still under lock and key. As the investigator, what's in this investigation? We also discussed yesterday, you recall that, the presidency, a spokesman from the presidency has asserted that there is no padding in the Appropriation Act of 2016. In other words, the budget that we're operating now, no padding is involved, even as we heard that we're broke, actually, and we have to borrow to pay salaries. That much has been said, and we can't escape that. So I suppose IMF is, one of those planks that might be drawn out sooner rather than later. But the budget padding thing, the committee chair, that is the incumbent committee chairman, not Jibrin, who was the former one. Among other things, we're hearing that the letter was not signed by the Inspector General. And also, reps are saying that the House of Reps is asserting that, the EFCC and the police report are both illegal. So it looks like this is a continuing matter. I don't know. In case you wanted to get your comment in on that before we go on to what we said we were going to talk about today, that is looking at the transportation progress report. I guess you could call in now if you know the numbers. The numbers will be on the screen very, very shortly. They should have been there now. Those are the numbers. What do you think about the speaker reportedly shunning the police? Well, we have to be careful with newspaper headlines. He just might have been otherwise occupied, but shunning is the word that is on the front page. You might have seen it of one newspaper. Among other things, technicalities, although they're important, that the letter was not signed by the Inspector General of Police. That's according to the committee chair, and the EFCC and police, according to reps, are totally illegal in terms of coming into this matter. Mr. Hassan from Lekki, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, sir.
No panelists now. Well, let me face you one-on-one.
Okay.
Mr. Yori, Dogara is trying to smear the name of the presidency. And the presidential advisor on National Assembly matter, Enang, and the cow, are not helping the presidency.
Okay.
By trying to make their own voice or their own views as the view of the presidency. We all knew the views of the presidency. The view of the presidency came from two sources, either the media advisor or Garba Shehu. That is it. And what Dogara is trying to do is now trying to drag the name of the presidency into his present Ulabalo. And we should be able to draw the line between the grain and the chaff. We knew very well, Dogara is not ready to go, despite the glaring evidences before him. But the honorable thing for him to do is to just resign and go. There's no two ways about it. There was padding. They were two friends before. The romance turned sour. You understand? And we are now hearing it. I'm not here to vindicate Abdulmumini, because Abdulmumini was the same person that came on set to say to us that they have the right to allocate money, which is not their own responsibility. in the organogram of governance, the judiciary, the legislative, and the executives, everybody has his own jurisdiction. This one is to interpret, this one is to make law, this one is to implement the law. I don't see how the legislator will come and absorb the work of an executive. The budget is a document prepared by the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy are the executives for the approval of the legislators.
But Mr. Hassan, hasn't the water been quote unquote muddied a bit by Senator Enang's statement that in the middle of all of this, that the budget is not padded? Now, his voice coming from the presidency would seem to have knocked a big hole.
You know what? Let me take you that memory limit, Mr. Yori.
Very briefly, because as you know, we're going to talk Lagos transportation, but this is just a bonus. Okay, briefly, please.
No problem.
Briefly.
Look, Enang was formerly chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, if I'm not making a mistake. And what he said is very, very normal of him to say that. You understand? He is trying to save his face because the pardon started with his own document to the Senate. We knew.
Okay.
But we knew President wasn't part of it. But there are some people within the bureaucracy in the budget office, and those people were sacked by the president. Because a president is a no-nonsense president. It's a president that exposes the road we are going through in our society now. Good morning. That will be brief. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. Interesting perspective, because from Mr. Hassan's submission, it would appear that, well, Speaker Dogara is now aligning himself with the stance of the presidency. That seems to be the import of what Mr. Hassan is saying, and he says, you know, as you heard, that this could actually malign the president. In other words, further extrapolating, it would seem that there is a general groundswell of, please, let's probe this whole matter and get to the bottom of it, one way or the other. It's the only thing that can be healthy for the polity and indeed for the reputation of the ruling APC as a party that is spearheading the fight against corruption, among other things. Okay, we'll have to put that to one side. That was just a little bonus. We'll take a break and then we'll come back, and we need to know what exactly is the new taxi scheme that is being proposed in Lagos. It's not the only transportation issue that we are interested in, but that will do to start, and then we'll touch all other places. There are a number of bridges being opened. What exactly is going on with rail, with land, with water transportation? What's the go-slow situation in Lagos, aka traffic jams? Is there any measure by which we can look at what we have now as opposed to what we had a year ago? Is there any difference? Those are the kind of things that we're going to put Dr. Dayo Mobirola in the hot seat for. But he's a long-standing transportation expert, so I'm just calling it a hot seat. He's probably going to glide through it all. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, please. Okay, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. If you have just arrived, it's another segment, and as I had said in the previous segment, we want to find out about the new taxi scheme being proposed in Lagos, and we're using that as a handle to really get a progress report on the state of transportation in Lagos State. And when you want to do a thing like that, you need to go to the very, very top. So the top dog in terms of transportation in Lagos, Dr. Dayo Mobirola, has kindly consented to join us. Thank you very, very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Indeed. Dr. Mobirola has been in the transportation sector in Lagos State for quite a while. When I said he's a transportation expert, Lagos transportation expert, I really meant that because he headed up LAMATA, which is the Lagos Metropolitan
Area Transport Authority.
Area Transport Authority. Yes. In fact, there's a sense in which your agency birthed what we now know as BRT. Because I remember back in the day when it was in the planning stages, we used to have many, many conversations about that. And it's been birthed, and now it's more or less the norm in Lagos. Although, maybe you could quickly tell us about the blue bus crisis that erupted. I understand it's different from the red bus. It's just the blue bus. It's not all of the lag bus affairs. So what was the nature of, because you sort of concessioned these buses to people. Explain that area for us, please.
Yes, what we are trying to achieve in Lagos is effective and efficient transportation. And to do that, the government alone cannot do it. So we went out and looked for competent professionals who can manage transportation effectively. Okay. And that is not new. You'll be surprised that in the countries and cities like London, Washington, and all of those places, you would see public transportation. But believe me, they are actually run by private companies on behalf of the government. Okay. Yeah. So, and that is the type of concept that we are bringing into Lagos. And that is what led us to the BRT, the blue buses. Okay. The blue buses.
One moment, so I understand. I beg your pardon for interrupting you. When we were discussing it before it actually came on stream, I remember that there was a question about what would happen to the Molues and the less desirable ways of transport. And I think, if I remember well, there was the idea that those unions would be invited to partner along with the government if need, if they could take up parts of this, that would be entirely in keeping with government's wishes. Did that work out as you had thought it might?
Well, surprisingly, that was the first aspect. The way we did the first franchise was actually franchised to the NURTW, and we call it First BRT. And they had it for 7 years. And unfortunately, they could not maintain the standards that we
because government was monitoring and supervising.
Yes, that is our role. We have a regulatory agency, which is LAMATA, and they were supposed, and we set them a standard of reliability, safety, security, politeness to passengers, ensuring that the buses arrive on time, clean and neat, and all of that. But after a while, they couldn't maintain it.
Were they to maintain as well? Were they to maintain the buses as well?
Oh, yes.
Everything was handed over to them, as if it was their baby.
No. It was their buses. We did not buy the buses.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That was their investment contribution.
Contribution. We just provided the infrastructure, i.e. the lane, the bus stops, the depots, and all of that.
I see.
So they were the one that provided the rolling stock.
And for 7 years?
For 7 years.
Until the government decided that?
Look, well, after talking to them for a while and ensuring that we now got to the point that we were convinced that they couldn't continue the way we wanted it. And then
Was this the case for both red and blue buses?
Well, majorly there are some red buses that are under franchise as well, but you will not know because they are all just under lag bus. But there are quite a few of them actually. I think about maybe 300 buses, 25 to 30 companies operating under lag bus as well as franchisees.
I see.
Yes. So the idea is that the government do not ultimately want to run public transportation. We want to be regulators, we want to be initiators, we want to be monitors and all of that. And we want private sectors to do it. Now, going back to the point you raised about the union.
Yes.
Well, the law of the land says that any drivers or conductors must belong to the union. So they are still members of the union as drivers and conductors. And there is no doubt about that. So we have not taken that away from them. That's number one. Number two is that we still even give them the chance to say that if you want to operate as a BRT operator, now you have to meet a certain criteria. And if you meet that criteria, then we have almost 730 routes in Lagos now. and we have 14 BRT routes that can accommodate a lot of investors. We are looking for almost 20,000 high-capacity buses to get rid of Okadas, Danfos, Keke Napep, and all of that. So we are in the process of reforming the sector totally. But to do it, we have done what we call strategic master plan. We know where people are. We know what time of the day they want to travel. We know how they want to travel, whether it's going to be by road, by rail, by water transport, all of that together. And we know how much they are willing to pay. So that is what informed us to come up with a master plan that says, look, we need to provide for these people so that people can leave their cars at home and make use of the public transportation. And if we don't get to that place, Lagos will now, no city will run efficiently without public transportation. And that is where Lagos State is going to right now.
And the public transportation has to be high capacity because
well, no, not totally high capacity, because it's demand driven. In some areas, it will be high capacity. Of course, if you are going from let's say from Alakbare Axis, all of that to Lagos Island, those will be high capacities because we know a lot of people go there in the morning and come back in the evening. But if you are going within the inner areas of Lagos, yes, the buses will be smaller. It can be 30-seaters, it can be 24-seaters. Those are the kind of routes that we have design and that would allow people the ultimate aim that we want to achieve is that anybody that lives in Lagos, you would have within 500 meters of your house one form of public transport or the other. Either rail, either buses, or water transportation that you can take off from, and then you can connect as you go along. And that is the ultimate aim of Lagos State government.
And as you said, there are some buses, depending on the locale, where you can drive your car to the place, parking is provided.
Yes.
You drop your car, go on the bus, and then on the return journey, you pick up your car.
Pick up your car, yes. There are a lot of terminals that we are providing at the bus stops as well, interchange, where you would drop your cars and then you go onto the buses or onto the rail or water transport. Example of the water transport is if you go to Ikorodu, Ipakudo today, we have built a ferry there, and there is a huge car park there, and there is a bus terminals there as well, where you can drop your car or come by bus and then take the ferry to Marina, to CMS, and
that is operational as we speak.
Those ones we are looking to commission it very soon.
For the ones that involve water.
But for the one that involves BRT is very operational at the moment. We have Majidun in Ikorodu, we have Ojota here, we have Moshalashi, where you can actually park your car and take on the bus. And to make it even better, the bus is even air conditioned, new buses, and making life a lot easier for you.
We're going to come to the matter of refleeting, but before I get to that matter of refleeting, so what broke down in the case of the blue bus crisis, as I'm calling it?
Oh, you mean one a few days ago?
Yes.
I would put it down to just purely administrative.
Because they said they were being, the personnel, the workers there felt that they were being exploited, not getting their due, and that they were owed allowances and that kind of thing. But you've explained that government isn't running these things.
It's not. It's an issue between the private company and their employees. It's not. It has nothing to do with the government. But in the process, government, the private company is providing a public service because millions of people depend on that service. That bus scheme alone carries almost 700,000 passengers per day. So it must not fail at any given time. So, and I think from what I was told, it was more of administrative lapse that occurred.
But because it wasn't across the entire fleet of Lagos, for instance, the red buses, we didn't hear from them.
No.
In terms of this crisis,
it was just that particular one, and then the management also took the initiative of talking to their staff about performance bonus. In everything, there would be performance bonus. So what they have done, what they said is that, yes, your salary is 80,000 naira per month. Let's put 40,000 as basic. And when you perform very well, i.e., you come on time, if you are supposed to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, you are there 7:30, you've checked your bus, you have done everything, you roll out at 8, and then you work till 2 o'clock. Your boss is neat as always. You keep to your timetable, and then you do all of that. Then you get your bonus, and then you make it 80,000. Okay. But you know, Nigerians are always.
Okay, now I have a better understanding of where they were saying that any slight infringement, they wipe out our bonus. Now it makes a lot more sense. Okay, but
when you sign an agreement up front,
yes.
when you sign, you sit down, it was explained to you that this is the agreement, and you sign the contractual agreement. Then you are supposed to go into it and address it to the letter. Really, that is what the operators are doing.
I see.
But we just have to come in and ensure that the services that has to be provided for the people should not be shortchanged in the process of that.
Okay.
And that is what we did.
Okay. Well, thank you for that sort of clarification. Now, the new taxi scheme. When I saw that, maybe what's wrong with the existing Lagos yellow taxi?
Well, first of all, there is nothing wrong with it, but the world is dynamic, and we are trying to be more efficient. Okay. Let me put it that way. Now, the first thing Lagos State is trying to do is we are trying to give a recognition to the public transport, meaning every form of public transport, rail, buses, ferries, taxis, everybody should have one color.
Okay.
So that any new tourist or a new person that comes into the city, or anybody that is even standing and wanting to take a public transport, you will know instantly that this is a public transport. So in one form or the other.
I see.
So that is what we have been working with.
And that's not the case right now.
No, that's not the case right now.
Apart from the yellow taxis, there are other companies that are also running taxi services.
Agreed. But we are going to ultimately reform everybody to come under that umbrella of one color.
I see.
But there will be some form of differentiation,
yes,
whereby Mr. So-so-so, who has a franchise for 200 buses, 200 taxis, there will be some differentiation.
So you know
that this is the taxi I'm taking, it belongs to so-so and so, but it is still under the body of the Lagos State regulated taxi.
I see.
Yeah, that is it. That is the ultimate case.
Also.
But before we get to that, what we are even asking them right now for safety, for security, and even for accountability, we want to, at the moment, every driver to even have a badge with a picture, meaning for that to happen, you have to have gone through a rigor of examination, go through the Lagos State Driving Institute to confirm that you are even fit to drive, and then they will even teach you customer service behavior, how to talk to passengers, because that's also key as well, and all of that. And then they will give you a badge.
Okay.
And then they will give you a badge, so that anybody that enters that taxi will know that this gentleman that is driving me is licensed to drive a taxi. And those are the kind of...
and that's apart from your driver's license.
That's apart
from your driver. You're licensed as a taxi cab operator
is different
in Lagos State.
In Lagos State, meaning that you can carry passengers.
Well, it just reminds me of the UK, for instance, where you can't just say I have the money to buy a taxi cab and then just I have the driving license and hop into it. You also have to pass the exams. You go through tests,
exactly,
where they test your knowledge of routes and that kind of a thing. So it's along those lines.
A line that we are approaching. Yes, indeed. Indeed. So, and we'll get there. And you say, I'm sure that you would have been getting the feelers that the taxi, because what we are actually trying to do is to professionalize that sector and to make them even belong to the concept of the economic fabric of the state, that they belong and they are participating in their roles, and giving comfort to anybody that enters their taxi or stop them to see a badge and say, this one has been licensed to carry a taxi. Then you sit comfortably at the back and then you relax.
And so this will affect all categories of taxis when that time comes?
Yes, we've started that one. Okay. We've started the licensing of the taxi drivers. We've started that.
With the existing yellow cabs?
With the existing yellow cabs and all the other red cabs and everything.
Okay.
We've started that one. But at the end of the day, we are still going to go into a situation where they would all have one color.
Okay.
So
that's like a canopy, that if you're a taxi in Lagos State, wherever you come from, you are going to be sporting this particular color.
That's it.
And that color is really, it encapsulates all of what you've said under it.
Yes.
Any person can then take for granted, one, the fact that this is a licensed cab, it's a licensed driver, he knows the routes. In short, I'm safe in his hands.
I'm safe in this, yes. I will not be cheated also.
That brings up the matter of metering.
Yes.
Will these taxis, is it the plan that in future all taxis will be metered?
We are working towards that, yes.
Okay.
We are working towards that.
Because as we speak, I quite frankly, I might not be the most current in terms of IT and all that, but I hear that there are Uber cabs where people can just call up and say, look, I need to leave here by 9 o'clock, it's 15 Janley Coco Street. And that's it. Just like some cities abroad, the taxi arrives. You would know. Yes, we have also been talking to Uber cab as well. So they are going to come into the baskets that we are talking about, because again, our aim is to drive transportation with technology, and Uber has tried it, or they are trying it with a platform which is good. We have no problem with that. But what we want from them is we want to know all their drivers. We want to satisfy them. We want to ensure that, again, it's all for safety and security. As you said, once they come into the basket, they will be complying with the international best practices that Lagos State has set up for them.
Indeed.
Well, it sounds exciting to come. And as you said, there are aspects of it that are in progress right now as we speak. But I wonder, talking still with the car hire / taxi cab, in short, the saloon car, there are some that there is no mark that it is a commercial operation. Will those ones, it's a car hire setup, will there still be room for those ones in case a person didn't want a colored taxi?
Well, yes, there would be.
I see.
The first thing we want to do,
services, like you see in hotels and
airports. All of that, as long as they are licensed by Lagos State, as long as they are licensed, the ultimate is to have everybody under one umbrella, so that we know what is happening, so that our aim is to protect the citizens of Lagos State. That's our ultimate aim. Now, so if you are a car hire, we want to know where you operate from. You are going to register with us as well, and then we know where you're operating from, so that if there is a complaint, we will know where to come after you, and if there is a lost goods or anything like that,
we can trace.
We can trace it. So all of that. But by the time we finish the whole scheme of getting everybody under the taxi scheme, you find out that the car hire themselves would come in voluntarily because it will have increased their status. And the status I'm talking about is one that will make them to be a professional in that field and recognized as such.
Now, one of the perennial issues with Lagos transportation is that of crawling traffic, especially at certain times. It's known. If you live in Lagos, then you've got to understand this so as to know how you can move around. But all your efforts in the transportation ministry is about easing this gridlock and making sure that streets flow. Although it's a quest where all over the world you find that you can't escape. You can't totally eliminate it. It's absolutely not possible. But I know that you guys are working. Has it gotten any better? Is there a way that you could measure, since this administration has come on, the Ambode administration has come on, is there a way that it can be measured whether there has been an appreciable change or not?
Well, I will give you a very good example of that at the Oworonshoki.
The Oworonshoki.
Okay. Right. We noticed that the bottleneck there was because people want to drop. That is where, coming from Lagos Island, we noticed that a lot of people want to drop passengers at Oworonshoki and then continue with their journey. So the 3 lanes are actually eventually turned to 1 lane because people are dropping. The staff buses are dropping passengers. The commercial buses are stopping passengers. Then we now created a lay-by, a multi-level lay-by, where the taxis are, the cars can drop their passengers or pick up passengers. There is a staff bus park. There is a commercial park. And believe me, I am sure you would agree with me that from the analysis was that between Obalende and Oworonshoki, it used to be 2 hours. Now it's 40 minutes because of that small solution.
Wow.
Because of
that small good thinking.
Yes. And then we have even moved further because what we have also realized is that, yes, there will be a lot of vehicles now coming from Oworonshoki, from the Third Mainland Bridge, going on to going past Oworonshoki because Oworonshoki is now free, and they are coming towards K2, and then we realize that about 40% of them are actually turning towards K2 going to Ikorodu, and that is why we are at the moment, if you notice, after car wash, there is a construction going on where we are creating a spur, whereby if you are going to K2, you just take that spur, and then that will free the road that is going towards Lagos Ibadan, the old toll gate and everything. So we are doing this.
So it's as much good thinking as infrastructural improvement.
It has to be.
You know, as a matter of fact. And at this stage, I must apologize to Ayo. Ayo, if you're still there, Ayo's been holding on for a while, but I wanted Dr. Mobirola to land. Good morning, Ayo. You can go ahead now.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you.
I would like to talk to the commissioner. I'm really happy what he mentioned concerning partnership with Uber.
Okay. Okay. The Uber cab thing. Okay.
I also like to advise that the government should not over-regulate some of the players and participants. As it is, for whatever the ministry might be looking for is already existing on some platforms. So it's only good that the ministry keys into what they already have. The issue of having people to paint their cars, having to go for recertification might not apply to everybody. And I can give you an instance. If I have a car and I go to work on the island every morning and I pick up 4 of my neighbors who pay me weekly for that trip back and forth, am I going to come to register with the ministry because I pick up passengers that are my immediate neighbors and they pay me for that service?
Okay. So in other words, your car is a hybrid of private and commercial.
Exactly my point. It lose everything that might be able to come under the basket. So it's good that the government is flexible and the regulation is flexible enough to identify different categories.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you, Ayo. Let me bounce this off, Dr. Mobiriola, because this is Lagos, and guys will survive. Guys have to find a way to survive.
Yes.
So if I turn my private vehicle and we make it a hybrid, there are 4 of us working in VI. We're coming from maybe Abule Eba. And so I'm sorting you out on a weekly basis. Now, what happens to my car? Go on.
Well, there are two approaches to it. The first one is what Ayo said. We encourage car sharing. Car sharing is, instead of putting 4 cars on the road, like Ayo has said now, there will just be 1 car and then there will be 4 people in it.
Yes.
Now, if there is no financial compensation,
No consideration.
then it's okay.
Okay.
Right. But where there is going to be financial compensation or consideration, then Ayo should consider the fact that is partially operating a public transport, whereby at least it should register it, 1, and secondly, get the insurance that would cover these
because there are different insurances for private and commercial.
And that will cover these people. So with that in place, we would have no problem. We are very flexible. Our ultimate aim is mobility, to get people from A to B at ease. So if there are so many modalities that you can be done, in some countries, what they do is that, let's use the case of Oroshoke again. People would just go and stand there, right? And the people that wants to use, in America they call it HOV lane, high capacity lane. If you want to go onto the high capacity lane, you just drive through and pick up 3 passengers to make it 4, and then you drive through. But there is no financial compensation, that consideration. So you just drop them at the other side.
Yes.
Because you just want to fulfill the right to go through that express road.
Exactly. And that's the consideration for that express lane.
Yeah.
You must pick up 4 other commuters. But there's no consideration.
No consideration.
So there's that difference.
But the one I was talking about is there would be consideration.
There would be consideration.
And if there is going to be the consideration, there should be some element of monitoring and regulation.
And regulation, quite apart from taxation issues. That's a totally different matter. Alhaji Subai, I apologize to you for holding you on. Please go ahead now, sir. Alhaji Subai?
Oh, the apology is taken.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Yori, permit me to say, to digress a little, because of your first issue.
You want to take us out of transportation into the House of Reps?
Yes.
Please don't break the flow. Can I appeal to you to please hold it for another time, if that's possible at all? Thank you very kindly. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you, Alhaji Subai. We just didn't, we're on transportation now. We didn't want to break the flow. So Ayo's situation has been explained because it's a very practical, it's like this is Lagos. This is modern Lagos, and this is what is going on. And he spoke about it.
Oh, yes.
And he spoke about it.
We appreciate it. We acknowledge it. But we just want to make it better for everybody, because, God forbid, if there is an accident in that situation, and it was discovered that
they were paying passengers.
Then those passengers, if it was a life-changing accident or fatality, issues begin to arise.
Okay.
But if you have taken the appropriate insurance to cover them, then such will have been not an issue.
Okay. There's so much work going on in your ministry. We can't hope to cover it all in the time that we have on this, but I think we should look at light rail and the light rail, because it's a combination of rail, road, water, air. Let's look at the light rail thing, and especially what's going on with the Badagry to
Marina.
To Marina route. Is that up and running?
Well, let me put it this way. Light rail within the urban area is always coming up with a lot of challenges.
Okay.
For the government to even initiate it is an audacity on its own. Believe me.
Okay. But Lagos does bold things.
Lagos does both things, so which is a very good thing. And when it's done,
talk about the audacity of hope.
Exactly. And when it's done, it lasts for 150 years, 200 years. So, and it solves so much problem. It solves economic problem, environmental problem, financial problem, reliability problem, and all of that. So, and the best of countries, take for example Dubai, with all the resources that they have, it took them almost 8 years to start the first Dubai rail.
Okay.
And even when they started, they planned to build 14 stations. They could only open with 3 stations, and the rest they were doing it in phases, even with all the money that they have. Now, in this case, we started with our own audacity, without financial support from anybody, not the federal, not the international donors or anybody. So, so we need to do it in phases. It's a very huge investment.
Okay. So it's not operational as we speak. It can't be yet because of what you've explained.
Yes, and the reason why it's not operational, we have bought a train, which we will use to test the infrastructure that has been built so far. We have built 4 stations from Mile 2 to National Theatre. Right now, I'm sure if you look towards, if you're going on the Eko Bridge, you will see the beams where they want to cross to a marina. And the issue of Lagos is that the natural blockage is the water from between the mainland and the island. So until we are able to join that rail connection to a marina, then we will not have been able to achieve anything. Because even if we start operation now, people will just take commuters will take the train from Mile 2, come down at National Theatre, and then go and get a bus.
Have to go to a bus
exactly.
Yes.
So why can't we take them straight to the final destination, and then they would disperse on there to the island and all of that. So, but we can assure them that the governor is very keen. We even had a meeting, I think it was on Tuesday, with the governor on this issue, trying to resolve all the problems or challenges, because when you are building in a built-up area, there's always going to be challenges, so many demolition and all of that.
But the, ferries are running. I'll come to ferries, but again, because I got to apologize this time, my apologies to Adin Relay calling in from Obalende. Again, I wanted Dr. Mobiriola to land, and I suppose you understand it. Please go ahead now, Mr. Adin Relay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling from Yanokwaja.
Oh, sorry about that. Not Obalende. Mr. Adin Relay, Yanokwaja.
Yori, please, I want to talk to the...
Yori will do. Just Yori will do. But you want to talk to Dr. Mobiriola?
Okay, sir. Please, I want to beg the commissioner. We want to, from a local airport, Ikeja.
Yes.
Yanodopemu. And under bridge, Yanokwaja. Please, what help can you do for us? Because from that Ikeja to Yanokwaja, you can spend more than 1.5 hours there. Those commuter bus, Danfo driver, they used to block road always time. Please, maybe you can help us like you do for us at Yanoworo. Maybe you can get something like that there. Please, that's what we want, because we live around that area. From Lagos Island to Yanokwaja, we spend some time, 2 hours, 3 hours, 2.5 hours on road.
All right, then.
Just help us for that road.
Okay, Mr. Adinrele.
Right.
Mr. Adinrele, thank you very much for calling in. Help us as you helped us, as you helped the people of Yanoworo.
Well, yes, we have plans, even to take it further. We even have planned to build bus rapid transit dedicated lane from Abule Egba to Oshodi on that axis as well. You would also note that Lagos State is actually building a flyover at Abule Engba as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have the time. I wanted to go into that flyover, but you've mentioned it.
So it's all of these things have been done. Yes, the issue of buses parking on the road and all of that, we are addressing it. The citizens of Lagos from different areas will just have to bear with us. As I was saying it, I had it in my mind that I knew that that's what I was going to talk about. You see, the problem, half of the problem of transportation in Lagos is actually caused by road users themselves. And that saddens me. That saddens me. There is indiscipline.
Thank you. I was going to say, when you say that, you're talking about indiscipline of motorists.
It's the discipline of motorists. And to make it sad, the indiscipline is not just the commercial operators alone, even the private car owners,
yes,
the elite of this.
They behave in an indisciplined way that they do not do. These enlightened people, when they go to other areas of the world, they comply. But for some funny reason, once they come home, there's this whole crisis of discipline.
Yes.
Dr. Mobirola, I'm afraid, unbelievable as it is to me, we've run out of time. But I'm just hoping that we can agree now on air in front of everybody that, Dr. Mobirola, you're going to have to come back, because there's a lot more to talk about Lagos transportation, the great work you're doing, the challenges, and what we can reasonably effect. You spoke, for instance, just now about the indiscipline of motorists on Lagos. Maybe we can have a rounder discussion.
Okay.
Now, is that agreeable? Will you give us your word that you will come back so that our viewers can benefit more from you on what is going on in Lagos transportation?
I will. I do promise.
Thank you very, very much. That's good enough for us. Well, we're going to have to leave it here with the Lagos Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Dayo Mobirola. Thank you very much for sharing what you are doing in Lagos with us. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, for a fresh edition of the program. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.